So.
There we go.
Call to order the North Plains Park Board. Pledge of-
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Zach Gainer,
Here.
Patty Burns, Evan King,
Here.
Joanna Para.
Here.
Dan Kirsch.
Here.
Sherry Simmons.
Here.
And I don't see Andreas. I'll keep an eye open for him. And your ex officio tonight is Counselor James Page.
Here.
Thank you.
Business.
Speaking to the mic.
Sorry. First order of business, I'd like to welcome both Dan and Johanna.
Joanna.
Joanna.
She pronounces it the easy way, so.
It's gonna mess me up for a while now. Sorry. It's okay. I won't hold it against you. So thank you very much for joining the board. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Brian.
No, likewise. Glad to be here. Appreciate it. Now, on to the opening business. No, nominations for election for Park and Rec chair. And I'd like to start by opening nominations for the chair of the Parks and Rec Board.
So it's a one year term. And then you vote again the January, and I think you can be chair three years in a row, and then someone else takes a turn.
Okay.
And then, a year later, you can be it if you want, so.
Can you say what the duties of the chair are?
Sure. The duties of the chair are to run the meeting, so you start the meeting on time, hopefully. You actually work with Dustin and with me to put items on the agenda. I base it off of the previous meeting, what you guys said you want to talk about the next meeting, and sometimes Dustin has some information about projects that you guys have asked about. So that's the week before the meeting is an email between the chair and the Public Works Director, Dustin, and myself. I think that's basically the main duties of the chair, and the vice chair steps up if in the same roles if the chair is absent for whatever reason. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Can I make a nomination?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Zach Gainer as chair.
Okay, the next thing we do is ask if he's willing to take that nomination should he get it. So
Are you willing to take that nomination?
Yes.
okay, Evan.
Any other nominations? None, then. All in favor of Zach Gainer for chair, say aye. Aye. Aye.
You poor guys don't even know anybody, but it's okay.
There's only one nominee. so-
Right, right. And actually, Zach is fairly new and Sherry's fairly new. Patty and Evan are the ones that have been on for several years. So we have a really new bunch, and Andreas has only been on for
Couple
5 months, 6
Yeah,
months
Yeah.
too. So it's great to have all this fresh new blood and everything. So, okay, so that was a unanimous, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
as far as I can hear.
okay,
So approved.
excellent.
On to the second business. Nomination for the Parks and Rec vice chair. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Evan King if he's willing.
Evan King is willing. Any other nominations? None? All in favor for Evan King for vice chair of the Parks and Rec Board, say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Congratulations to both of you.
Here you go. I'll pass this over.
Starting now?
Yeah, you start.
Congratulations.
Thank you as well.
Now you're legit.
I had to ask questions on this was to happen.
And that's why you're sitting next to Kevin in case, I'm pretty sure you don't have a meeting.
I got the phone out right here, a
Sure.
little bit bigger.
Sure.
Flip over that first page. The other part of the agenda.
Flip it over.
If that has the next part of it.
Perfect.
So we're still on,
Okay. Good.
Good.
All right. Did everybody have a chance to read through the consent agenda?
Then you ask if there's any corrections or additions that I may have forgot.
Is there any corrections or additions that we may have forgotten?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second that motion.
Good.
Consent agenda, say
All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Hey,
Motion carries.
okay.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
When you start this next week, you have a little cheat sheet. to put
I
it-
can-
Yeah, I will definitely bring.
I
one
can
for
make
sure.
you a cheat sheet, yeah.
I apologize.
No, you're doing fine. You are
I
doing
felt the Same
fine.
way when I had to leave the last meeting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, for public comment.
Yep,
There can be people in person, there can be people on the Zoom, and sometimes we do receive written public comments prior to the meeting. So generally, what the chair would say is it's time for public comment and start with anybody that's present, which there's nobody, and anybody online, which I see Ms. Hurst is online. Hello, Cindy. Are you talking during public comment or? No,
You're muted.
okay. That's fine. I figured she was coming up later. And then you would ask if I received anything written prior to tonight's meeting,
okay,
and I did not.
okay,
So we have no public comment at this time.
okay. Move.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Usually I would announce what, like, announce the underlying thing.
Okay.
And then move on to the floor of business in it.
Perfect. And then moving on to the unfinished business, discussion on Parks and Rec Board members being representatives at the Parks Foundation's meeting. So looking to set a schedule, so all members can take a turn.
Cindy, is that why you are on? You're muted
You're muted
still.
right now. She's still muted. I'm trying to unmute her.
Muted.
Okay, there I am.
You are.
Hey, yes, that's the reason I'm here.
So do you want to introduce yourself and let us know what your position is on the?
Okay,
Parks,
all right. I guess I don't know everybody there. My name is Cindy Hurst and I am board secretary for the Parks Foundation. And what I just wanted to know is, what you were discussing. I did send an email to Dustin earlier today, just to let you know that the foundation bylaws require a board member be a Parks and Rec Board member. All right. And I noticed on the agenda that the discussion could be, kind of rotating the chore through your board members. And we can do that, but the Parks Foundation would need to make a bylaws change in order to do that.
We kind of did that because at the time we didn't have a full board and we weren't sure who could make that commitment. Now that we have 7 full members, there can be a discussion amongst them on that and see if we can get a commitment. So you want a full year commitment, or can they make a 6 month and then someone else a 6 month, or does it need to be like January to December? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, actually, our board commitment starts in February. So with our February meeting is when we appoint new board members and officers. So this would be an appropriate time, and it can be 6 months, it can be a year. It's just whatever you would like to do, but they have to be a member of our foundation board right now. But if you determine that you would rather rotate the chore between your board, then in February, we would have to make that change in our bylaws.
And can you let them know how often you meet? If you have a set schedule, where you meet, the time, because then they'll be able to discuss who would be able to attend.
Okay, we meet on the second Thursday of every month. And right now we're meeting at 4:30. The discussion has come up about meeting at 5 o'clock because someone else's business hours has changed and they may not be able to make the meetings. So it's going to be 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Our meetings last about an hour. And we don't meet every month. We do have it on our calendar to meet every month, but I would say this last year, I think we've met 5 times in 23.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I guess I'm confused. None of us are Park Board Foundation members. So why is that a requirement?
That was a requirement when the foundation was set up. And I think, and of course, the city was the one who was setting up the foundation at the time. And I think they felt that it was appropriate for a Parks and Rec board member to be on the board of the foundation to be able to vote on issues, number one, to have a say, but also to make sure there was a continuity between the city and the Parks Foundation. Because at the time it was set up 3 years ago, the idea was that the money would be funneled from the foundation to the city. That's changed to a point where the foundation can now work on projects that benefit the parks, but not necessarily projects that are initiated by the city. So, for example, if a neighborhood wants to improve a park and they want to come together and have a fundraiser, then they can do it under the auspices of the foundation and still have that 501c3 designation. Okay, so it's not just the city any longer, but right now it is. And I think that's the reason, is that they wanted to make sure there was a continuity between the city and the foundation.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, I can speak a little bit about that too. I was one of the ones that asked for the foundation to be built as a 501c. The reason was because Intel and IT and other ones use Benevity to help the volunteer hours that people put in. They help pay, the hours, and also matching. Corporations will not give a city money.
Right.
Right? But they give a nonprofit money all day. So to help, for when we built the Veterans Park, I just in a pocket, I gave a couple $1,000 to help build it, but it wasn't matched by anything. wasn't a tax write-off. It's like, here you go, enjoy it, right? This way, it helped fundraising for this. And one of the bylaws, when we have something in the Parks Board to help have a feel of what the city wants, or the community wants, along with them to help, help the board make decisions.
Is it not a conflict of interest though, for the board? Parks Board
Well, this was being set
person
up,
to be voting on the Parks Board Foundation on behalf of the Parks Board?
the reason why, you would be voting on behalf of the Parks Board, you'd be a member of the community, you'd be a member of the community that's very much in touch with the issues that are, I don't know whether it's a conflict or more of a efficiency. You'd be very much in touch of some of the issues that are happening, since it's a non-governmental agency. You guys could help out in decisions. We set it up with the city helped fund it and build it, but they let it go, right? And a part of letting it go, we need some guidance. That's why it was set that way.
Yeah, what we had talked about before was having a member rotate to join the meetings that I had forgotten from earlier on when we had first started this, that we had a member on the board that we had lost this last year.
Yeah, he made a commitment to be on it for a year. I feel like it's just a representative of this board. They're fundraising for parks and recreation areas in town, and so,
Understand what they're from.
yeah, so you're kind of giving some input from this group. Granted, the form that has to be used is the priority. That's correct, right, Cindy? That if they want to request funds from your group, we have that form that this group has to fill out and provide to you, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that would, and then maybe if they need clarification on something on that form at that meeting, when you're turning it into them, because you were part of the group that,
The only thing that I am concerned about is the voting part. I mean, I don't have a problem having someone being there as a representative. I'm just not sure about the voting part of it.
is that because you feel like you would be voting for the whole
Absolutely.
group? How often do you vote on things, Cindy?
Well, it's a regular meeting.
Mhm.
So a board member, a foundation board member, you have to, if you're, how best to explain this? If you are a member of a foundation, any nonprofit organization, so when you are a board member, you work for that board. But as Sherry mentioned, she was concerned about the voting procedure. And, I think the thought at the very beginning of this, and I'm just assuming this because I wasn't involved, was that the city representatives, and you are all city representatives for the Parks and Recreation, would be able to have a voice on the foundation board. Now, if you don't want to have a voice, which would be a vote on items, that's okay. But it is good to have a person from the Parks and Rec Board at the foundation meeting, so we know what's happening and what your board thoughts are when things come up.
Could they be a non-voting member?
I'm sorry, James?
Could they be a non-voting member?
Yeah, they would be a voting member at this point. Yes.
Is there a reason why we couldn't have a consensus of a board here to take that?
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Is there no reason why we couldn't have a consensus at this board meeting to take to the organization?
Well, we need to know what it is that they're voting on ahead of time though, so that we could discuss it and prepare.
Sure, I just don't know procedurally if that's a possibility.
Cindy, how much ahead of time do you put out your agendas?
Well, usually it's the week ahead of time.
Okay, because that makes sense to me too. If they know something's gonna be on your agenda, I think they would like the opportunity to discuss it as a group. And then whoever is our representative would be actually speaking for the group when placing a vote. Am I saying that right?
And if it's
Yeah.
on a Thursday, that gives us some time, right?
Correct. And the only time those issues would come up is if your board has sent something to the foundation board for discussion and review and approval to move forward. And that would probably be the only time when your representative would want to bring the thoughts of your board to the foundation board. Once the foundation board, I'll say, approves a project to go out and do fundraising, then it's totally different. The board member would work with the foundation board and would not need any input from the Parks and Rec City Board. Does that make sense to you all?
It does to me, yeah.
If you have, if one of you is interested, let's start here. If one of you is interested in being a board member, just let me know. I mean, just say so. If there isn't someone who wants to be a board member, but would be interested in attending meetings as a representative and maybe rotating that chore between your board, that's okay too, because the foundation board is flexible enough. We can change our bylaws if necessary.
At this point, do we have anybody that is wanting or willing to be a member?
I think with all the new members we have, no one's really quite ready to make that kind of commitment. They're getting comfortable in their roles there's two of them who this is their very first meeting, Cindy. So, and then we've got two others that just have joined in the last year. Sherry's an old pro at meetings, but she's fairly new on the Parks Board too. So I think maybe they would like to kind of get settled in their roles on this board before they make a commitment of more than just attending a meeting.
The issue I have is being on multiple boards.
Right.
Just, don't want to be on another board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we want to explore option 2 and looking to perhaps just attend and represent unless something needs to be said at that moment. I mean, I have no problem taking the first handful of meetings if that would work.
And sort of just like how the city council does.
Yeah.
The ex officio.
That's kind of what I'm kind of grouping it in with. It is tend to be like that. If you don't want to, nobody wants to be a full-time board member, then you can be a representative or an ex officio like Counselor Fage is, attend the meetings. You wouldn't have a vote. And they would just need to change their bylaws to approve not having a full-time member. And then it would be up to you guys. I would recommend that you do it in like 6-month blocks, just for continuity. It tends to work out better that way, especially because they only meet like every other month or less. So, does anybody have any questions about that? Without a permanent schedule of monthly for 6 months, I think we can be a little more flexible with the rotation here.
I would have an interest in being part of the board. My only thing would be is to have the opportunity to have the agenda on the Monday that we meet prior to the meeting, being that I'm fairly new. Today is the first day. It would be something that I'm not too familiar with everyone's decision making and knowing everyone, likes and wants as a board together. That would be something that I would like to bring up prior to going to the meeting for the foundation. I no longer am part of any foundations currently right now at the moment, so I wouldn't mind.
They are two separate entities though.
Yeah.
So this board right here would have they can give advice and these are challenges, but they wouldn't have direction over Either one.
Right.
Mhm.
My only thing would be is if that agenda is ready to bring to discussion, if you can put it on the agenda here on Mondays to just, if there's anything that's popping up that would concise to a vote, it would be nice to discuss it here, but prior to the meeting on Thursday.
Cindy, would you be able to include me when you email out your agenda the week before your meeting? Because then I can include it in this group's agenda for Monday if you're meeting on Thursday, so they can review whatever you guys are going to be talking about that week. And if there's any concerns or questions, then Joanna, if she wants to commit, then she can bring those to that Thursday meeting.
Okay. And we do tentative at this point, have a meeting scheduled for the 11th, which is this coming Thursday. However, I know someone else is ill and I'm ill, so we may end up canceling the meeting and not having anything until February,
Okay.
which would be February 8th. I'll know that tomorrow.
Okay, so with that being said, and then I would get the agenda for their meeting, the week before. Just like I'd send out ours the week before, I would include that in this agenda for you all to review. And then Joanna can take whatever information feedback that you guys give at our Monday meeting to the Thursday meeting of the foundation.
Okay,
Is that?
that's fine.
But our meeting is February 12th and theirs is February 8th.
Okay, well, in this case, she would send me out the agenda and I would forward it to all you guys. And I would put on there, do not reply all, because we don't want to, Sherry knows, we don't want to have a what?
Serial meeting.
Serial meeting. You just, if all of you reply to one email, then it's considered a meeting and we didn't public notice it. So, so when I send it out, I would put on there, if you have comments or questions, only reply to me, and then I would forward them to Joanna as a chunk of email from everybody for you to take to their meeting.
And it's kind of, maybe the first month or so, some little cushion that we can get from the foundation to allow kind of like a recurring way for me to be able to get a consensus of everybody here. I think just being fairly new and not knowing everybody here on this board is my only thing of making a decision for everyone. And I'm not too familiar with everything here. But I would not mind at all being part of the conversation.
Okay, so yeah, so once I get their agendas for every meeting that they have, I'll forward it to all of you, regardless of when I receive it, so that you're aware of what they're working on. You need to be aware because there's going to be times when you're going to fill out a form and ask them to work on fundraising for you guys. So I will forward the agenda on to all of you. You guys can reply back to me with questions, concerns, ideas, whatever. I will package them together and provide them to Joanna if she is going to be the Parks and Rec member. You're willing to be the member on the foundation board? Well, there you go, Cindy. You got a commitment.
Okay. Well, I have a packet of information about the foundation and what we have done over the last couple of years, putting things in place and some policies. And I can put that all together. I've got a notebook, actually. Me and my notebooks, everybody there's nodding their heads. And I can get that to you in advance so you can look through it. There are, as a board member, there are specific documents that need to be signed and we can discuss all of that. But maybe at the first meeting, you just want to attend and listen and understand what we're doing. How's that?
That would be great.
Okay.
So as chair.
I really do think that we're going to be canceling our meeting on Thursday. So
But will you send me an email, Cindy,
Yes.
and let me know? Okay, great.
I'll know tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Sounds great. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns in regards to this? Good to move on?
Yeah, I would thank Joanna for making that commitment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna.
Thank you. All right. Good night. I'm leaving.
Take care, Cindy.
Thank you. All right, moving on. In regards to our homeowners associations, in regards to their work with our parks here in North Plains, any comments or anything that has arisen since our last meeting? I know we're missing our member who was.
Okay.
Hoping to quarterback that, but
Yeah.
feel free.
Good evening, everybody. I know we've had some questions in the past about HOA maintained parks versus city maintained parks. And I know recently with some security issues, there's a lot of stuff on Facebook, and even there's some people on the North Plains community page that's not official. Even people on that page have a little misconception of what is an HOA park and what is a city park. And so it's kind of simple. I have a page out here for everybody. I try to make it as simple as possible. And also on the web page, if you look at our list of parks that are on the web page right now, it'll say in there whether it's a city maintained park or an HOA maintained park. We do not have the Bryn Hill parks up there yet, but those are all HOA maintained. And I'm kind of getting with Corinne, our communications manager, who helps us with all that, about kind of getting some of this information together and kind of blast it out to the public a little bit more clearly as well. But in a nutshell, all the city parks that are city-owned, publicly owned parks are maintained by the city. All the HOA parks, which are basically Sunset Ridge and Bryn Hill, those are HOA maintained parks. The interesting thing about it is it kind of came about from the old Parks Master Plan, was that these HOA parks had in their master plan, when the developer developed these parks, that they would be open to the public. That was part of their master plan. The only reason why we allow them to do that, and in exchange for SDC credits and everything like that, these parks had to be open to the public. And so
I think we demanded that, didn't we, Laura?
pretty much,
Pretty much.
we do not have the staffing, we do not have the funding as a city to do all that. But sometimes, I don't know if this is going to be a forever thing, but this is the status quo for now. The only change to that Sunset Ridge being all HOA is that the Sunset Ridge West Park, which is the bigger park on the west-hand side, that one did make it into with the planning kind of agreement that we will take that over as a city. And we will take that over here in September. So right now it's an HOA park, but it will be a city maintained park in the future. And we're in the process of kind of figuring out the financials, how we're going to maintain that and everything. Other parks that are coming up in the future, up in Bryn Hill, anywhere else, they are not in that same I think the official term is the time delimited maintenance kind of thing. None of the other parks are like that. They're all going to be HOA parks, and they are going to be maintained by the HOA for the foreseeable future, unless something big happens. And
they are open to everyone.
They are open to everyone, and that is in the agreement with the developer. And I did put it down here. Let's see, for Sunset Ridge number 2, it says the HOA park will be available for public use as part of the city's municipal park system through public pedestrian and bicycle access easement granted with plat note 10 of Sunset Ridge number 2. All the legal mumbo jumbo. Basically, yes, they have to do it that way. Bryn Hill, basically the same thing, a little bit different verbiage. But that's how it is for the foreseeable future, unless something happens. I think the question that we had in the past was, what is the responsibilities of the HOA to maintain the park according to our standards? Once again, that is also set within that community master plan that the developer had. They can't take that lot and say, hey, I want to build a house on here now because, I got to sell this lot. They can't do that. They have to maintain a park. Well, one thing that they might be able to do after, discussion and different things is they can move maybe a park to another area as long as they maintain the same amount of space and do all that. But that's probably going to be a lot of coordination going on to be able to do anything like that. And I don't really foresee that happening, but it's possible. So I think with that, the HOA park as designed, it has to be that design at a very minimum. So in the future, if the HOA wants to change that park, they pretty much have to go through the process and say, hey, we want to change this park. We want to get rid of this play structure to make it an open field. That's probably not going to happen. Because they need to at least have that play structure. And if that play structure needs to be upgraded, or if they want to add something else, it will be in our updated Parks Master Plan of what they can and can't do. And so right now we have a Parks Master Plan from 2018 that is eventually going to be updated, but we can't update it quite yet because of the urban growth boundary discussion. But once that happens, we can update all those standards for what each park has as a requirement. And we can ensure that all of these community HOAs stick to that. And that's long story short. And the long story short is city maintains city and public, HOA maintains their own, but it's open for everybody. And that's kind of how we have it all written out. Are there any questions? Yes.
Except, you can't, if you're not part of the HOA, you can't reserve one of their spaces, right? I believe that's what, Andrea stated.
I didn't even know you could reserve spaces up there. But
Like the covered areas.
Yeah.
Or like birthday parties and stuff like that.
I can look into that. Yeah, Andreas is, I think he's out of the country right now. But that would make sense to me, or if they do rent it, it would probably cost you more if you don't live in the subdivision.
But nobody would know outside of the HOA who to contact to try and even reserve it.
Right, so, well, yeah, so Andreas lives up
I
there,
do.
Zach lives up there, Joanna lives up there. You don't live in Brent Hill, do you, Dan?
No.
Okay, so we've got half the board that lives up there, and Andreas has a good relationship with the HOA.
He
He's
does.
talked to them several times after meetings about certain things. So we can certainly find that out, but it kind of makes sense that they wouldn't rent to anybody that wasn't a HOA member. I don't know.
That kind of gets tricky because it is their park, but it's open to the public, but it's a reservation system. I think that's kind of their own bylaws. And so that'd be an interesting discussion to have, to maybe they can open it up to everybody, but they charge a different fee for someone. But that would be something that would be upon the HOA. What we could do is, we don't have any parks, like we don't have anything codified in our municipal code for like parks and recreation right now. And maybe that could be something that we could codify, that, hey, for equity purposes, we have to allow this, and that kind of thing. And that would be another thing that we possibly could codify. Instead of being just in the developer agreement, we could codify in our municipal code, if you built it at this, you have to maintain it at this, at the bare minimum. Unless agreed to by consensus of parks and city council, that, something like that. But that's something that we could consider in the future. Any other questions? Hopefully I didn't muddle the HOA and the city maintained aspect anymore. Okay.
Yeah, it does. And this sheet really helps.
Okay.
Lay it out too, so.
I'll probably put something like this online as well, maybe a little bit user friendly. But it'd be, I think it'd help for the vast majority of the residents around here who live in HOAs.
Just to make sure, for the Bryn Hill, none of those parks will become city parks.
None of them will become
will
city
remain
parks.
HOA. I just want to make sure. of that.
Correct,
Okay, just want to make sure.
correct.
And just
Okay.
for you guys that don't know, when there's a subdivision, the planning commission decides how much acreage or space they want to require from the developers. It's usually a per rooftop basis, so I think there's 500 homes up there, and it was like, what, 100?
There's like an acreage per thousand people, I think. that
Yeah, and
there's-
so that's kind of how the sizes and, we tell them you have to have this much acreage of park and green space, then they divide it up. I mean, we try to hopefully get them to not make 15 little tiny green spaces, but a couple of usable parks. But that's kind of where you come in with the Parks Master Plan. You can put some requirements in and that kind of stuff for those types of things.
And that's on the discussion too, that developers want to maximize their footage, right? How much slabs can you put down? So if you put in a park space there and not too much slab, so they'll try to count things like, well, we have a grass area in between the sidewalk and here, so that's a park, you know,
It's a green space.
you could balance your, it's really good balancing, you know, like, yeah, thanks, but no, that's not the intention of this, right? Or we have the swamp land, perfect for scuba diving lessons, no, not right, you have to be little. Amongst these things, they've been negotiating for, this bathroom right here costs $130,000. Doesn't seem that much, but when the city has to build something, it's expensive, city has to use different labor laws. and
Bully
pay-
lodge, yeah.
And pay Princess ransom for anything that needs to be done, it's very expensive, right? You can do it personally much cheaper on your own, but the city can't. And there's been some vandalism, like Facebook, look at this, somebody kicked the garbage can, bomb. So what I'm worried about is the HOA saying, listen, we agreed to build a bathroom because we kind of fought hard. This park is in the middle of town, and to have a bathroom would be great, you have little kids, they gotta pee a lot. You know, like, I gotta go to the bathroom, you run back. This is really great for the little kids' softball games, because 20 minutes in, they're all gonna go to the bathroom, this is really fun. It's nice. We wanted one over there, so we worked out some trade-offs and back and forth to put a bathroom in. They didn't want to put money in it, it costs a lot of money to build, much cheaper than if we were to build it, but still expensive to build. And they're not going to maintain it in case somebody kicks in the garbage can or something, right? So kind of want to hold on to that, and make sure that, because of this, we decided to put in a really nice monkey bars instead of the bathroom. We don't want that negotiation to take place, we want to keep what we negotiated. And I expect, life is a negotiation both times. So I expect them to come back and like, hey, your next development's to be the bathroom, but it would be really great to have a horseshoe pit instead, they may be able to do that, so. That's
Well,
what
it could be that we look at something, and this would probably fall under the Parks Master Plan, that if it's a park of a certain size,
Yeah.
then a bathroom is required.
Yep. That's,
That
Maybe that
was,
makes parts less than that size.
Yeah.
we have learned from, after making the Parks Master Plan, we have seen how all the developers like to try to work around it.
Oh, yeah.
So with that knowledge of the last two additions to North Plans, hopefully we can use that to work around their workarounds.
I like to keep it from a certain size, because then they'll engineer it to be not a square foot smaller,
Well, one thought was, I know that Doug had was that we just require all parks to have bathrooms. And we'll see how many small parks they make after that then.
Well, and depending on the amount of, property that they're developing, you can require a certain size park.
And we do, it's in the master plan.
But
They
that
fight
might,
it regardless, just like he was saying, we've got a
Seeing
green
how they-
strip here, that's,
see how they work around it. We are looking at the Bryn Hill and the Sunset Ridge. Looking at how what they went through and what we have in the master plan. Hopefully, when we come up to going back over the master plan and looking at the changes we'd like to make.
we can
hopefully-
see what they followed and what they did.
Yeah. And how they worked around it.
Yeah, right.
Have all the parks at Bryn Hill been finalized with what they're doing for the future? Is that set in stone, or is there a chance for this
Until
board to
then-
be?
Until it's done, when it's done, it'll be set in stone. Everything's been set in stone until it's not.
Okay,
We constantly, there's things going back to the drawing board for one thing or another. And it seems that all errors that are made in calculations benefit them.
Mhm.
phase 5, Bryn Hill is still under construction. They'll put all the roads and the infrastructure in place, but the actual plating can change at a moment's notice, pretty much. So yeah, it is until it isn't.
Mhm.
I think what we need to decide is, if we have a park requirement of, let's say, a 5-acre park, has this, this, and this, and this, and they decide, oh, let's do 5 1-acre parks instead and get none of that. And, I don't want to get like 5 green spaces as opposed to one big park with all the amenities that we're looking for. So that's how we need to work things out in the next master plan.
And we could limit the size of the green spaces in front of homes and stuff like that potentially too.
Or just
So
that
that they can't utilize all that and take it away from a bigger park.
Yeah.
Like
Like
originally when they showed us their master plan for it. There was at least another 3 or 4 smaller parks, if I remember correctly. That we eventually fought against them for that consolidated into I
Well,
believe.
they had green spaces that they were calling parks.
Yeah, but we had to fight against them to consolidate it more into bigger sections of park.
I will go back and find the agenda packets that had their initial plans, I guess is what you'd call them. And then, and send them to everyone, but mostly to you new members, so you can see how it started out. And then they come and say, okay, we want to put some playground equipment in this one. And remember that big long green space and they wanted to put a chessboard there with big chess pieces.
Yeah.
And this committee said, those are gonna walk off and we'll never see them again, and so those are the kind of things that you have input in. You don't have input specifically on the total footage of the parks, but you can have footage on, we want a bigger one that can have 2 different play areas, one for 2 to 4-year-olds and one for 5 to 9-year-olds, which is kind of what we did out here too.
Mhm.
So I will go back and find, and then you can see they send beautiful color drawings of what they're gonna do and everything, and then city
Yeah.
staff and you guys can get to pick them apart when they do that.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that it's the strategy. I'm sure everybody's looking for everybody's public good, best interest and all. However, if there was a strategy, members come and go. The project will take place over a period of time. So things can get, gradually moved on without. City council, we are elected for 4-year terms. I believe in term limits, so I'm gonna run for 2. Because I don't want to be there forever. I don't think it's good for new people to come in. So I'll be gone. So that guy that's there for 8 years won't be there anymore. New face will be there. Like, oh, that's what we're working with. Sure, we could concede some more. That's maybe, I'm not saying that is a panic, but it could be a strategy.
Quick question, on the Parks Master Plan, you said it was from 2018 right now,
right.
and the Bryn Hill has another bigger park that is going, I believe it's for the phase 5, but it's almost gonna be the size of the bigger one that's currently right now there. So can the city still change kind of their guidelines, being that there is a bigger park still to be built?
They're gonna have that thing built before we have the next master
Yeah,
plan.
they'll have to go by the current master plan that's in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they will want to, believe me, because in the new one, I know you guys, you're gonna put something in about restrooms and that kind of stuff and drinking fountains and
The best way to fight against it is to minimize the workarounds, such as, they like to put small parks, we put a cap on how small the parks can be for the square footage of the whole entire development. We just have to, looking at the last 2, we had to find ways to work around their workarounds and make them more so do what we want them to.
Right.
And they're paid professionals. That's their only job and their salary. We're here giving dinner. So advantage to whom, right?
yes, until there's a new parks master plan, anybody that wants to do anything with parks goes by the one that was approved and adopted in 2018.
And you can send it out to all of us so we can see it.
Yep, it's online too.
It's
All
online.
the there's a, master plan for everything.
Sure.
They're on, are they on the public works page? City
It's-
manager, I guess, under city manager and plan, anyway.
It's under there, I think there's a Parks and Rec actual page
Yeah,
on there.
so,
But we can always talk about Parks and Rec master plan items, like what we would like to see. We can always talk about it, but we can't make a new one. So we can make ideas, come up with and just kind of store them for later, but we just cannot go with a master plan just yet.
I think Sherry's idea, Joanna's idea of kind of a brief history lesson. This is where we start off with. Since we have, what is it, 75% new staff here.
mhm.
Here's where we start off with. Here's concessions are made. So people have like the kind of like a pizza story, not granular, but you have a executive high level thing like start off with this, and it came to this, and here's a story behind it. So you guys have a more complete understanding of what we're dealing with. I think that's a fantastic idea. Maybe take a meeting to do that. That sounds.
I think that would definitely be a good idea when we go back to work on the master plan is have the diagrams that they had given to us and see how they started and what they are now.
I will get that stuff sent out to you guys by the end of this week. And so that you can have a month to review what they worked on, what they presented and what was ended up being the final product. Because there were some that were totally different than what they presented. Thanks to the board members, they're like, no, like, we don't want chess pieces that are this high,
They really love their fake trees and rocks.
yeah. So I will get that stuff sent out this week.
Perfect. Anybody else? Any other thoughts on this? Before we move forward? Okay, moving on, discussion on the YMCA and if we want to work with them for programs for this summer.
So I got an email, I asked Andy, the city manager Varner, about this, and he said he has not spoken to them. Since last summer, we had 3 programs planned for last summer. 2 of them were canceled because there wasn't enough signups. There weren't enough kids interested or parents interested. The last one did take place. And I think it was like maybe a multi-sport one, like a soccer and something
Is
else.
that because of the price?
Well, we don't know. That's just it. We don't know.
Advertising.
Part of it could have been lack of
I
advertising.
have a young child and we had to research where we can put them over the summer that's enriching and fun and available during the work hours that we actually need it to be open. And we had to go to Hillsborough. And we're not part of Hillsborough's Park and Rec, so we had to either pay a lot extra or we don't get in because there's 1,000 kids running there and they have 800 buildings. So we're last to choose.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if we can get into that area so we could take places for the aqua center, learning how to swim and some of the cool programs that Hillsborough has. I don't know what it takes for us to get into that, probably a fee. But that'd be something to open up for our families. But the YMCA, I've seen it after I have to pay for everything and light everything up. It's like, oh, next week we have this camp. Yeah, I had to do pre-planning. This was figured out in May, not the week before.
So maybe they'd gone to us a little bit too late for the summer planning that most parents would put in.
Well, we did do a pretty major push getting it out. We put it, our communications person, Corinne, we put it out on all the social media. I printed out flyers, put them where all the meeting notices go. We did a major push. It was in the newsletter ahead of the dates of the camps. So I feel like some of it was maybe a little late in advertising. Some of it very easily could have been the cost. I don't know what the going rate for that kind of stuff is. I don't have kids at home, but it certainly could have affected how much participation there was. And that's why I said the first 2 ended up being completely canceled.
Yeah, 300 to 150 bucks a week is generally what you pay.
How much?
Normally it's around 300.
300 a week.
Yeah.
Is that out of district rate?
No, they didn't have out of district
I
rates,
had to
did they?
do like, I don't look at this one because by the time I had it figured out, I noticed it, right? So all my logistics were already set. But when I pay for commercial, like, whether it's Hillsborough, his was a bit cheaper. But the private stuff like, ninja coding kids, that kind of stuff, it's about $300
Yeah.
a week. So like the Hillsborough camp where the kids just run around wild, it's like 180. So,
Well, that's what I was, wondering, because I know that, like the shoot park and the parks, if you're out of district,
You pay more.
you pay more. Here's my issue. We are a Hillsborough school district.
Exactly.
And has anybody gone in and tried to negotiate to make sure that we can get that? What everybody else, because our kids are in the Hillsborough
Right.
School District.
No, we have not gone, and part of it's based on taxes.
right.
Now, we don't pay Hillsborough city taxes out here, or you don't, I don't live here, but that's why the rates are different if you're a non-resident, because the residents pay an additional tax for their parks and rec facilities, or for, there was some kind of levy for the swimming pool or something that people out here don't pay.
Right, we had to do a bond. We had to do something to actually raise the money for that, which we're open to, right? I mean, that's, enriching kids' lives is kind of important. I mean, that's probably more important than our lives, right? Because we already lived them, or are in the process of living them. So that may be something you guys want to look at, and it may be worth looking into.
The other thing too, when was registration done over here? Because I know with Hillsborough and I know Beaverton and all of that, they open up the registration like 3 months ahead. So like in January, it was open for spring break camp. And so in March, they will open for summer camps. So they fill up within a week.
Yeah, well, we didn't find out about the YMCA programs until later on. I'm thinking, April, May. Which I assume a lot of parents had already signed their kids up for other ones. So, makes perfect sense to me. But then I think, well, if the Hillsborough ones are all full, wouldn't you continue to look at other options in the, within your area? But it was our first shot at it. We've never had programs like that before. They came to us actually, which was nice. They did all the talking with the schools, because they needed more space than.
They actually go to the schools and talk to them
Yep.
about it?
Yep, and I think that might be part of the reason why the prices were a little bit higher. Like the new grade school was charging a little bit more, I think, for the use, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but so we didn't get everything out 4 months in advance. That's for sure. And like right now, if there's an interest, then we need to know now so we can kind of rope them in and get a little jump on it than we did last year.
With that small of a turnout, would random Jesse Mays and have to do a park right here and
They had one of them scheduled for here. And then I think they had 2 of them scheduled for at Filati, or however you pronounce that. So, we told them they could use this facility at no charge. Obviously we're not going to charge them because they're putting on the programs. The programs they were having, I'd have to go back and look. Like I said, they were all sports related, soccer, and there's something kind of like soccer. That's
kickball.
no, it's
Rugby,
no,
lacrosse.
I can't remember what it's called. It's kind of a football soccer thing cross. Anyway, and they have specific fields for it in Hillsborough.
Oh, futsal?
That's it. Yeah, I'd never heard of it before.
It's kind of like indoor soccer. So the field, the measurements are just a little bit different.
Yeah.
On the indoor, and there's a little kind of bit of difference in the rules, but pretty much it's soccer.
But it's very popular right now. I mean, the last couple of years it's become very popular, and that was one of the ones that they were offering in their, in those 3 programs. And like I said, the last one was held. course, it was, the hottest part of the summer, but they were. The reason they looked at the school was because they had a covered area that was shaded. And so that was, because here, we have a lot of shade here, we have some, but that was really helpful to them. They thought that was a plus to have the programs there where
They
they,
have to rent the school, right?
what?
They have to rent. the
Yeah, they had to
school.
pay a fee to the school
Yeah.
district, yeah.
It's very expensive.
Which is, like I said, I think that's part of the reason why the cost was higher. Again, this is part of Hillsborough School District, but goes by
Garland
the,
Festival has to rent the school for our
yeah,
parade lineup.
yeah, it's just,
Our Easter egg hunt. We have to rent
yeah,
it. You don't get anything free.
With the cost.
Inside buildings a lot more.
Yes,
expensive than
outside. We just use the parking lot.
you have to actually pay to use the parking lot? How do they know if you just show up and line up, everybody?
Right there.
Yeah, hey, well,
I'm not putting my name on this. No way. If they say you have to pay, you have to pay. But it's not very much, but it's just the point.
Yeah.
You have to show them your insurance, you have to
Right.
name them as insured, you have to pay whatever that. So for the first year, we had to pay for the Easter egg hunt, I believe, for the Garlic Festival, I think it was $100. And for some reason, last year, I think it came out to $37.
Bonus.
I have no idea. It was less. So I
Okay,
didn't
well,
complain.
that's
I
not a
didn't
bad
ask.
thing. But, I mean, it makes sense. We rent out this facility.
Yeah,
We rent out the covered, the little covered area right here for birthday
they
parties
say
and
people
stuff.
have to be on duty. I've never seen a person there. Matter of fact. the
Here?
first- No.
Oh, at the school?
The first year, we couldn't even get for the Easter egg hunt because all the new fencing and that was all locked.
Okay,
I think
Alright.
that's for inside. You have to pay for somebody if you rent the inside,
No, I think somebody's supposed to
Then
be out there.
then they're renting and you're paying for the janitor or whoever is there.
well, I can try and find out how much the YMCA had to pay to use the school because they in turn are gonna add that to their fee,
Mhm.
So
which,
did they offer different programs for us to choose from? And we didn't.
not to choose from, I think they put together 3 programs and said, here's what we can do based on the instructors we have, the time frame we have, the space that you have. So they chose the programs. And they did all the work. I mean, they found the instructors, they provide insurance to us for, the facilities of ours that they used, and they took care of everything. I mean, we were really excited about it. I mean, you guys remember, it was like a big deal because people are always asking for programs here in the summer, and we just have never had them. And they came to this board, and man, it was like, yeah, we're
I
gonna
think
get
the
some programs.
price was
Yeah,
a stopper for a lot of people.
So real quick, the price was $350, you said?
I have no idea. I
I
already have my stuff done with,
yeah, I can
Okay.
find it out.
Is that the price that's listed on the agenda that you have listed? On the bottom, there was cost for different lengths of programs. They have one for 150 for 4 days, 240 for 5 days, and
Oh,
195.
Is that from an agenda from last
no,
year?
that's just.
So this is the fun for all
That's
one.
the
Oh, that's the
cost.
Fun for All one. That one, somebody asked about that at the last meeting, and so I did some research on it, and they're East Coast. They don't,
They had originally contacted me and I tried contacting them back and I hadn't, it almost sounded like a fly by night company, but they had a lot of stuff on their webpage, but I never got any response back.
yeah. I just think in general, people around here would prefer to stay with somebody local,
Mhm.
And like I said, they were all East Coast, not any Midwest. It was New York, New Jersey. So, I mean, it's a great program if you can get it in your area, but we don't have anything like that right now. So,
I mean, it sounds to me like it was more lead time. Like, we don't know specifically yet because it was their first time trying, right? So if
yes,
we had more lead time on this time around, maybe that would give us a good
Correct.
It's like the reality of if it's price driven or if it's, length of the kind of sentence.
Yeah, I will look into that stuff. I just know what the fees were to attend the camps. I don't know how it broke out into, what they were charging for the school and all that stuff. It was just an all-inclusive fee, which again, this board thought that was great. Makes it easy for parents. You're getting everything. They were, I think, 6-hour camps, which a lot of them in Hillsborough are 4 hours. Because I remember Andy talking about it, because he's got kids that you go to all different camps all summer long, and he was impressed that they were longer than the average ones that he had taken his kids to before. So we just need to get some more data, but I hope that you guys decide that you want to try it again. Because I really feel like, especially with Wren Hill filling up, those are families that are moving in up there. They want things for their kids to do in this area. And so we need to work to find whatever we can to be available for them.
We try to reach back out to the YMCA.
Yes, I will talk to Andy about that. I'm not sure when. I'm on vacation starting next week for almost 2 weeks, so I don't know if I'll get all of this done this week.
Sure.
I will get what I can done and then pick up when I get back. My priority right now is getting you guys the Parks Master Plan and some stuff from previous meetings so that you kind of have a baseline of how things were decided and where we're going from there. But I can get most of that information. So
Is there any other organization that we should try to get in touch with at the same time to give us more options? Or I just don't know that much about that particular niche. My kids are growing out of the house now, so.
I don't know
The
either.
Boys and Girls Club, I don't know if they do something similar to that.
I think
I'm just trying to think about.
They have programs, but it seems to me normally the kids go to like a school. I mean, that's how it is in Forest Grove. They go to a school, but there has to be other stuff out there. There has to be
That's
other
what I'm
programs.
thinking, and maybe there's other things that we can try to reach out to at the same time. If
Yeah.
we're gonna explore this and it gives us more options potentially to bring it.
I know with Woodsall, there's several there's not actually, I believe it's a nonprofit, Over a Rush. And they go to the parks and the schools and they do camps. And they work with the Hillsborough Futsal. I know they work in Beaverton. I can check in with the person to see if it's something that they calendar already their activities for the coming up summer.
Yeah.
I know they do activities, they look for that they don't have a space, so that's what they're looking for.
Oh, okay.
The space to provide.
Yeah.
that. I can look into that as an option.
I think that'd be good because with the new school, there's space now to have these kind of programs. We just need to work to find them and get them connected with the city. So.
So Vermont Hills offers summer camp. Vermont Hills was over here at the North Plains Elementary, but I think they went to Apalachee Ridge last year. So I don't know what they're gonna do this year coming up. I think, I don't know. But that's a whole like summer,
Did they do something in the summer?
yeah, they did some kind of summer thing.
What's it called? Vermont Hills?
Vermont Hills, and they're local. They work with, they're over here at North Plains Elementary. I had a put them to in Kiwanis. It's in my pocket. I have to call for my kids' childcare. My kid stays there after school until 6 o'clock. You get them sooner, but theoretically we could leave them after 6. So.
Yeah, I didn't know they did summer camps. I knew that they did after school programs.
They did summer camps too, but then during COVID, they had a hard time staffing it. And then once they lost that contact, because the teachers found other things to do, they're having a hard time. They don't pay much, right? So it's not like they're a professional, they just, those people found other jobs. Those jobs are like disposable almost for the curriculum level. So those people found new things and they're having to help them backfill on them.
Well, there's three places to look into. I mean, Boys and Girls Club, certainly there's information out there about them. Hillsborough Futsal, I have heard of them, and I know Andy has as well. So anything that you can find out, or any contact information, that would be helpful.
Meeting with the owner on Thursday, so I can talk to them about it.
Okay, and then the Vermont Hills, that's the first
I'm
I've
saying
heard,
that, so
so,
right now to you.
okay, thank you.
Isn't there something called Sun Schools too?
I've never heard of that either.
Used to be like an after-school program. I don't know if they do, summer stuff.
Well, I'll see what I can find out about them. Google's pretty good for information. That's how I find out that Fun for All was not anywhere around us. So,
Perfect. In regards to Fun for All, do we wanna, anything we wanna discuss with that, or we wanna move on? with
so
them
you
giving-
didn't get any contact with
I
them at
didn't get
all?
any contact back from them, so,
Okay.
I mean, I can keep on trying, but I didn't get any contact,
Did you know or call?
email.
Okay, because they'd be on different time zones, but with the emails, like, you know.
Anything else before we move on? Any new business?
You wanna talk about the
New-
graffiti and stuff and what the city's considering?
Yes, so you probably heard about some graffiti, and graffiti is a constant issue over here in these bathrooms. And a lot of the times it's just get some scouring pads, clean it up, and my guys are good to go. Every once in a while, we'll have things like little fires set and just kind of damage, like they've damaged the trash can and the baby changing center last time. So we actually not filed charges, what is it called? Filed a report this last time, but for any like large, monetary damages and stuff like that, we'll do that. But for the most part, it's just a lot of cleanup. It's happening in other parks as well.
What time is that closed?
It's dawn to dusk. I think it's more or less set for the summertime right now because it didn't adjust for daylight savings time and whatnot, but it automatically locks. But here's the rub on that one is, Isaiah, one of my guys, we'll be in here working, setting things up in here. He'll check the bathrooms, come in here for a couple of hours, go back out there, and it's already messed up. Like it happens during the day as well. So it's not just at night.
So are we putting cameras out?
We are working on some security measures right now. The security cameras is an option, but I don't want to get too much into the detail. But like we have the Wi-Fi system here and just trying to get things worked out. We've got a lot of options for security systems going up around the city to include the new public works facility and right around City Hall library. And so we're working on some long-term solutions, which it's a long-term solution. Short-term solutions, we're trying to find something that works with our current IT setup. So it's a possibility, but I can't say at this point whether or not it's going to be an actual thing, permanent solution.
Just put up a fake camera for a while, see if that makes an impact.
There's some rules, like if it's a fake camera, I believe there's an Oregon statute. If there's a fake camera, I can't just say this place is being monitored because it has to actually be monitored.
Just say smile.
But could we not just put up a cheap camera with a web link and assign it to?
Not with our IT system, and I think that's
But it
something.
can go to like somebody's cell phone and then they.
It has to connect.
Right.
It has to connect through our security system or our IT system. And I think that's been the hang up. And we're working on that right now. There's some other options out there that involve like cellular technology where it doesn't go through our security system, but it's a very short-term thing and there's no guarantee that it will work. And so we got to maybe try some things out more than anything. As far as a long-term solution, yes, that's in the works. Short-term, we're working on it.
I don't know how to apply this. A long time ago, it got so far away. I was doing police work. One of the things that they trained you as, they call it good police work versus, bad. Good police work was figure out who's doing the tag. You get an idea, you have a book, we forgot who it was, and we go and talk to the parent. And the parent's like, yeah, we don't like tagging until they realize that you give them a fee for the cleanup of it and a fine. You're like, oh, well, this is art expressing themselves, great. You keep on doing it until people actually leave. And, you know, they get piled up with all these fees and, you know, do we have a fine for graffiti in the city of North Plains?
We do not. And we've had problems, the real problems originally started with the little tunnel thing by McDonald's. There's a walkway underneath there. We, you know, did some work on that with the trail system, and every week it got tagged. I mean, it was just all the time. And same with the Turtle Park. They're doing it there too. Corinne has put out some stuff on social media, showing some pictures of the damage that was done, hoping that parents and residents will keep a little closer eye out. You know, if you're here with your kids playing, obviously not in the pouring rain, but if you're out and about, you know, just keep an eye out for stuff like that. It could be just a matter of shaming the kids into, you know, oh, we know it's you, so you know, you better knock it off, or we're gonna have the chief come and pay you a visit.
Yeah, but these days, you don't wanna be approaching.
No, it's not a matter of approaching. It's just a matter of, if you see something, you call the non-emergency, which will get one of our officers there, usually within 10 minutes or less. Pretty small town, don't have a lot of ground to cover here.
Yeah.
Depending on who's on duty and what they're doing, but,
Yeah, I've seen, teenage boys with their, but I wasn't gonna approach them with their skateboards on the picnic tables out here.
So that's the other thing, is that you see people out there. Yeah,
was it during the day?
Or, you
So
know,
like after 5 o'clock, so you couldn't call City Hall,
Yeah.
call the non-emergency.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that, when you call the non-emergency, it's logged, and we get a record of all those calls.
mhm.
And that's how we find out whether we need additional support staff from the Washington County Sheriff's Office, whether, you know, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It needs to be documented. The only way to document it is if it's a non-emergency, you call the non-emergency number, and they type it into their little machine, and it comes out on a report, and we know how busy our officers are and what they're doing, and if there's like specific things that are happening more often than other things,
Mhm.
like graffiti or vandalism at the bathrooms.
Was that vandalism at the bathroom here happening more so at a different season than another one?
It's constant. It happens usually over the weekends. But it could happen at any time. And like I've seen posts like on Facebook, whatnot, you know, people, you know, will say, hey, I saw this and this and this, but they didn't actually see what happened, anybody actually doing anything. We don't need a lot of speculation, but we do need a lot of, hey, I did see that there was graffiti, and just kind of report it when it happens. And that will kind of help pinpoint the time. That kind of goes back with the whole cameras. Like, I'm not going to put up a camera on the bathrooms, watch people go to the bathroom. Like, it's definitely not going to do on the inside. But there's also some legal issues of putting up a camera mounted looking at the bathrooms too, because that's also another privacy issue. So it's like, I can't specifically aim it towards the bathroom. I'll just say that much. So that kind of adds some complications to the matter. But if there is suspicious activity in the area of the park vicinity, and there's timestamps for stuff like that, then we can give that information to the, you know, chief of police and say, hey, there's activity in the general area, and then we can, you know, have patrol around the area at that certain time, if that makes any sense. And also keeping people's privacy.
Well, and it's happening up at Bryn Hill too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They tagged, picnic tables was the last picture I saw. And people on, you know, on social media get on there and say, oh, well, the city needs to clean that up. Again,
Not us.
those aren't our parks. City staff will never comment on those types of things. So if you guys see it, I know Sherry does at times, she'll say, hey, you know, those parks are not the responsibility of the city. they belong to Brent Hill and their HOA needs to take care of it. But there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of people just assume that the city needs to take care of all that. And as much as we hate it, well, just like everyone else, we can't do anything about it up there. That's their responsibility, so.
Kind of goes to the same thing. If people actually see it happen, they can report to the police as, hey, at this certain time, it's not that I saw suspicious activity. I saw someone tag it, or I saw this, it wasn't here yesterday, but it is here at this time. And that way we can get, police kind of to scrunch a time frame to kind of beef up their patrol or whatever.
Any other thoughts? Any new business at all before we conclude?
Oh, I have something. So we had talked about, requesting, did we ever find out a quote for the kitchen on the cost? Cause we had talked about submitting something to the foundation on the form. But we need to know what dollar amount we're looking for.
I think the general amount that we can look for is anything under $50,000, because that's where the bully, when we're talking about, for public works projects and stuff that is over a certain amount, that's when it starts to get really expensive. So if we say, we want to do this for under $49,000 or something like that. But for that, then we can list everything that we want and see what we can get more than anything.
Okay. So we can just list, do we have to search for the individual items of each thing and the cost of it? But because by the time we get the money, it might be a whole different.
It's possible.
I'm not sure with their form. It's not real clear on.
It might be as easy as just saying, we want these new appliances for the kitchen, which would be probably a stove and a refrigerator. Because we just put in a new microwave, there's a new coffee maker in there. And so.
Did we want to try for a dishwasher?
I don't think we can have the dishwasher. It was the three stage sink. Three-stage sink.
Yeah.
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 So
it could be, just asking to raise money for that with a general, up to $10,000, or something like that for these appliances. And then if they need more information, they would come back to you guys and request specifics about what you're looking for. But like you said, by the time they raise money, something could have been outdated and there's something bigger and better if it took a year.
Well, we might probably want to add a percentage onto it in case.
a contingency, yeah.
Yeah, contingency. Yeah.
So are there specific contractors that are able to work in there? Is there for that?
If it's under $50,000, we can hire someone who is, legit and has all the permits and everything to do that. Basically have to have at least three quotes.
Prevailing wage starts at 50,000.
Bully, yes,
Yes.
starts at 50.
So it's 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as we ask for 49,000 or under 50,000, we should be fine.
Okay. So we'll just ask for 49,000.
That's something that I wish Cindy was still here to be able to ask that specific, but we'll probably get specific range of a stove costs, like not necessarily a commercial stove, but something that costs up $2,000. A refrigerator that costs $2,000, a 3-sink. Well, see, we need something like that. Is like, what are we trying
Kind
to
of a guideline to keep it in. And I don't know, have they raised money for anything before up till now?
I honestly don't know.
They've done anything.
I thought they maybe did a little bit for the Veterans Park.
Yeah,
But-
they go for the work program.
Yeah, but, and I'm not dissuading you from asking for anything.
Yeah.
You may want to start with something small, just to see how long it takes them to, you know,
Well, but maybe we need to give them something to get them kickstarted.
well, that's true too.
That's what I'm thinking.
And
I think we need to go shopping
very,
and get ideas on prices and,
And can the money that we request from them also include the cost for the labor?
Actually, I don't know.
I don't know about that either.
I honestly don't know if it includes the labor, but we can at least certainly try. I think my concern, the bulk of the costs are if we do the cabinets and the flooring and the electrical that goes along with all of that. That's going to be the bulk of the cost, not the actual equipment.
Oh, okay. So
Um,
you're gonna change everything.
it would almost have to
Yeah.
be changed, yes. And that's why it got really expensive really quick, with the quotes, the initial quotes that I had. And it got expensive very quick. And I would have to get with Cindy and see, hey, what can we ask for? Does it include labor? But I'm assuming that it just includes materials.
And then how would we, need to have it done then, installed? Does the Parks Board have funds that they could utilize for that?
Well, the Parks Board, I don't think has
I mean,
financial,
the Parks and Rec.
the Parks and Rec Board, I don't think has the financial authority to do that.
No, you'd have to go before council.
would have to be
and
for
ask
council.
them. And Parks and doesn't have a lot because
No.
when that levy failed, last spring, that was gonna bump up the Parks and Rec funding quite a bit. And when it failed, we're right back where we started from. So we have very limited funds.
And you didn't bring any numbers this time to show us what's there.
As far as the Parks and Rec Board, we will assume that we have basically enough to do maintenance.
Only.
Yes. And things are going to change once we have Sunset Ridge West to take care of. Because that's a lot. And I only have one guy who works with Parks right now and one part-time, and I can only have that part-time for a certain amount of time. And we're already considering, do we have to use an outside, like maybe their HOA to continue the maintenance of that, which kind of seems counterintuitive. So we're already running on fumes with funds right now. And that's kind of why it's a struggle to
Was it
think of that
cheaper to
project.
have another company come in and do the mowings and stuff like that? Are we finding that?
It's a different level of service, so you can't compare apples to apples, really. There's a lot of other things around the city that needs to be
Well, I
done.
know with that, we weren't having to pay for, 401ks and
Mhm.
benefits and all of that. We just paying their fee.
Yeah, a lot of that's still under assessment right now. But the going from the facilities maintenance from a third party contractor to in-house was done before I got here last April. So that's, we're
Is that one
reassessing.
to be fixed out there?
The water, the irrigation, that's also another thing that is another project for my guys as well. We're supposed to do that this spring.
Okay. Good.
It needs it. It needs it.
Yeah, we can't go another year without that field being watered. I've already gotten complaints from vendors.
Yeah.
Saying they better water the field this
Yeah.
year.
So, but all of that also comes into the funding for the parks, and it's like we're scraping things together, and that's one of the reasons why we haven't quite done it yet. So we're scraping by.
Is a board, are we able to apply for grants, or does that have to go to the foundation?
The city, we can apply for grants. The issue is, there's only a couple people that work for the city that have experience with that. One of them's Andy, and Robin with the library is really great at them too, but she works on library grants. I don't think we even know the availability of money out there. There has to be millions.
There- Yeah.
Well, see, and that's something that we don't,
We, yeah, that's on our radar. And there's actually, I've got a list of probably about 20 different places. It's just a matter of I'm also a public works director, and then this is the parks, and there's a lot of things, and it's like, I need as much help as I can get.
If
Um,
anybody, if you have experience with grants, I would go ahead and make an appointment with Andy and come in and talk to him about it, because we're never gonna turn down somebody that wants to help
Yeah.
with that process, because we want to grab every penny that we can that's available out there, not just for parks, but for, we found, gotten grants for all kinds of stuff. We get grant for
Yeah,
you?
having a board
Are you
of
covered by the
directors.
grant?
Most board of directors have things that are skill-based, right? Some are good at various things, and one or two powers or unite. So a good thing for the, for when you're at the, Parks Board.
Foundation
to see-
meeting?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the foundation. To see who has those skills and maybe publicize it. Anybody have any grant writing skills that would be a member of the board?
Mhm.
That would be.
Cindy
the
does,
future.
has a lot of.
Yeah. Yeah, but Cindy's doing everything too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's stretched too.
She is
Yeah.
very, yes.
I'm more than happy to look into when started and then have Cindy, if she has time to look over it. I'm more so co-done grants, not anything on my own per se.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah.
I should probably take a class. When I get done with being city council, I'll do something else. It's not city council.
Come write grants for us.
Writing grants would be a good idea.
I have to look around.
Yeah, in fact, I just asked Andy probably week before last about taking a grant writing class.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, they have them all the time through League of Oregon Cities and
Yeah.
through other
Mhm.
programs through the state.
Yeah.
I feel like it, it would benefit a couple of us to say, granted, you're not gonna take the course and then sit down and write $2 million worth of grant applications, but at least there'd be
Right,
multiple
makes-
people,
Makes perfect, yeah.
so,
Check them out.
yeah.
As far as the official goes, so you guys, we have some new members here and just wanna say hi, and, we have 12 meetings per year, is monthly.
No,
So
we have
basi-
24,
I'm sorry?
we have 24
Really?
councils?
No, for you guys.
Oh,
You guys-
ex
you guys
officio,
have-
oh, okay,
You
sorry.
guys have 12 meetings a year. So you guys need us 2 times each, probably per year. Rough math, maybe three, maybe but roughly 2 times. There's an old adage that says a new broom sweeps clean, because you're new and excited and you see new things, you have new eyes to pick up, like, oh, did you look at this? Oh, no, we overlooked that. Thank you for having new eyes. There's a little bit of ramp up, and I want to keep that, the energy and the excitement of finding new things. I don't want the lack of experience of knowing who people are to kind of like make you shy. If you see anything, please reach out and we'll give you the resources you need to grab the goodness, right? So please, if you spot goodness, yell about it so we get it looked at.
I feel like the new members are ones to speak up in communicating with them through email and through, I mean, all of you. I knew Sherry because she was on city council, so she's a great communicator, but you guys, you three especially, and Andreas too. I mean, so far I email, they email right back. I feel like they're ready to be involved and interact with the board members themselves and council if need be, so, and staff.
Yeah.
So,
And I assure you, next meeting, I'll bring up, put a fine in place for graffiti. We'll discuss it, but I think that's overdue. We should probably have that. So,
we may have something in the city charter. I don't know. I'll add that to my check-on list.
Be a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Any deterrent's a good deterrent.
yeah, $750, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
No, really.
We
It
can
helps.
use that for the Parks Board.
Yeah,
There you go.
Board staff comments and just wait without the table.
All right, board and staff comments. Dan, anything to add?
I don't think.
Come on,
I don't.
Sherry,
I'm good, thank
Patty,
I'm good.
Evan,
I'm good.
you're good. Anybody else?
I said my piece.
Patty, you want to talk about the upcoming event that's,
Oh, crab feed,
yeah,
February 10th, we are having our annual crab feed. It'll be here. It will be, you can have crab, you can have steak, or you can have surf and turf. Tickets are online right now at the North Plains Events Association.com
Yep.
website.
North Plains Events.
Yeah, northplainsevents.com. The money goes to the senior center and to the Events Association. And it should be good. We are also gonna have a raffle. We're getting some wonderful raffle prizes. And if anybody has a raffle they'd like to donate, let us know.
My wife could probably give me bread.
There you go.
If anybody's looking for homemade sourdough bread or other kinds of bread, yes.
Do we have a banner for this for Glencoe? Or is that not one of the banner events?
I have not heard that from him yet.
Is that, Andy just asked, could you check if there's a banner because the jingle one's still up?
I know.
The next one we have is April, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if Dan is on vacation. He might be at the chamber meeting tomorrow. If he does, I'm going to send that banner back with him and see if he can fix it.
What's the matter with it?
It ripped and the wording is not.
Is it new? Is it a new one?
No,
Oh, okay, okay.
no. He said that he thought they could fix it, and then I asked him about wording, and then Christmas came and I have not heard back from him again.
Okay. It'd be nice to be able to switch up because Aiken
Yes,
puts them up for
yes.
us. So it'd be nice to switch it.
How much is a
Sick.
new one? How much is a new banner?
Probably 1,500.
Okay,
So if we can get it fixed,
Should really have all the banner for it for. They don't care, so we can.
Yeah, well, and then we're supposed to have wind, so,
today, tonight.
The
Yeah.
cracks be clean this year.
I know, they better be.
I'm not.
We had to clean the grass last year, that was, I know, that was a last minute.
Snafu at the fish place.
Yeah, that was hours and hours of cleaning crap.
I don't think my hand still works properly.
Really good after that.
Yeah,
Crappy, let's go.
so anyway, February 10th, and we should have a full house. We've got 2 seatings, one at 3:30 and one at 6. And there will be alcohol for sale as well.
I mean.
Did you say that out loud?
He's in for the crap feed.
Yeah. Everybody prepare for inclement weather at the end of the week.
Be safe.
Did I hear like
Snow,
inches
Mhm.
on Saturday?
that's what they're talking about.
Like
Oh.
6 inches or something?
That's what I heard, 3 to 6,
Yeah.
and maybe
the
8.
wind, yeah.
Yeah,
And the wind tonight. Yeah, it's supposed to drop down to the teens starting Wednesday, so
What's starting Wednesday?
drop down to the teens overnight.
Mhm.
So, you know, if you live in an older home, drip your water. We do that here. The guys know that we do that here.
My guys are aware of the cold temperatures for the public works side of things for the water, because that's usually when water things happen. So
Yeah. But I
hopefully we
think
don't have.
I think Cody was gonna put the plow on one of the trucks already, just to be,
Yeah. Water
Just in
freezes
case.
at 32 degrees. Because of the pipe has pressure on it. It'd be colder outside, and what happens is the water does not freeze in the pipes. It takes around 25 degrees, 24, then instantaneously freezes and push the pipes. So 25 degrees is where the pressure of the heat beats it.
I got new flex pipes, so.
Is it, Gio? What?
flex pipes, good for
Flex
you.
pipes maybe, I don't know how that works, because the flexes would give a little bit for the expansion.
Yeah,
I don't know, that'd
yeah.
be easier to break or not.
I don't think so. Lifetime warranty. instead.
Okay, next meeting is Monday, the 12th, right after the crab feed. Will smell good in here.
It'll still clean, because we'll have cleaned.
That's true. That is true.
Mhm.
In between now and then, if you have
Is
any,
there anything on Sunday, do you know?
I don't, not that I'm aware of, I can check, but I'm pretty sure that we probably wouldn't rent it out for the next day.
Just in case, 'cause it's a lot of work to clean it
Yeah,
all up.
the floors get sticky, I know. If anybody has any ideas on other subjects they want on the next month's agenda, I mean, some of this will show up again, obviously, the discussion with information, but anytime you guys have subjects that you want to discuss, email Zach and CC me, and then we can work together to get those topics on the agenda. It may not be the next meeting's agenda, but we will get it on future agendas. So it's you guys' meetings. You need to decide what you want to talk about.
Don't be
So-
shy.
I'd like us to fill out this form for some money.
Okay.
Get some actual hard numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get some hard numbers and see what we can go with, at least for appliances. The cabinets and the rest of the stuff might be a little bit trickier, but I can get at least some numbers for you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For building the Veterans Park, just for an earworm, to just, well, or like a, fund. I went to Wells Fargo, talked to the VP about it, to get some money donated to help build it. Intel, of course, they were there. And Intel's feedback was, well, it's a city, and so forget about it, buddy. And how big-
It's a what?
It was a city.
Oh.
It's a
They're not
city.
gonna give money
And
directly
Wells
to the
Fargo said,
government.
hey, that's a city thing. We would love to do some kind of volunteer work. They do is they fund it and then have the employees go, so they give you a chunk of money and have the employees pick up trash, I don't know, whatever project that's to be done. Nike likes to have runs. If you have like a fun run through the city and you're like a little 4K or whatever, or I'm sorry, a 5K through it, and Nike will give you some money for that, as long as you put it on. So there's all kinds of corporate stuff that they would have to do. You couldn't do it through the city, because the city was just buying it, and they do not give government money, right? But the nonprofits did it. Now there's nonprofits, so reaching out.
We good? I appreciate everybody's patience. Time is now 7:42, and this concludes our North Plains Park and Rec meeting.